Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. Please welcome your host, Chef Richard Chamberlain.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the first ever virtual celebration of Côte d'Coeur. My name is Chef Richard Chamberlain, and for the last 22 years, I've been the lead chef for the Côte d'Coeur event. Today is all about celebrating you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because of your support, the American Heart Association has been able to respond quickly to the ever-changing environment out there, and to be able to fast-track $2.5 million that have helped fund research projects that, they investigate the specific connections between heart disease, COVID-19. They've established a COVID-19 registry to support clinical care, and then throughout this pandemic to aid research on treatment and risk factors and so much more. By giving to the American Heart Association, whether it's through your monetary donation, sponsorship, or just dedication of your time and your talents, you're helping the health of North Texans. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank the Dallas Division of Board of Directors. You've done so much, and also the Côte d'Coeur Executive Leadership Team. Thank you, thank you. Your hard work, your dedication is making all this possible. And finally, we'd like to give a very, very, very special thank you to Jennifer and Mark Sanders, our chairs this year. Wow, you guys have just been incredible, not only throughout the year in planning an amazing event and raising so much money, but over the last few months, really handling this very, very difficult environment that we're in. And so thank you, Mark and Jennifer. And I'm going to turn it over to Mark and Jennifer now to say a few words. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of my husband, Mark, and I, we are so happy to be with you for this special event. We wish we could have gathered in person for Côte d'Coeur, but we are committed to continuing the work of the American Heart Association.
As we enter into the Côte d'Coeur season, we've been able to raise just over $3 million. Thank you to each donor, sponsor, and ELT member for your generous support. You have made a tremendous impact on the impact of COVID-19, and you'll hear more about that impact later in the program.
Because of you, we have been able to provide science-based information about how COVID-19 affects people with risk factors for heart disease and stroke. As a survivor, I am at increased risk for complications should I get COVID-19, and the research that the AHA has fast-tracked has been imperative to survivors and patients during this uncertain time. Now more than ever, your support of the AHA's mission is critical. Our hope is that after today, you will be inspired to give to the AHA, whether it be your time, talent, or treasure.
Thank you for being here today. Now we'll turn it back over to Richard.
Thank you, Jennifer and Mark. Each year, Côte d'Coeur brings together the best Dallas restaurant scene and amazing chefs and fantastic wineries. On behalf of myself and the Côte d'Coeur team, I would like to recognize and thank each of the chefs that participate in this event. Some of these guys have been with me for over 20 years, and I'm so proud to be a part of an industry that gives back so much to this community. Each year, the American Heart Association recognizes a winery that represents the best of the best in the wine industry. This year's Tête de Cuvée award winner is Donald Olson of Torrymore Winery. I'd also like to recognize that many wineries that have come together over the years to make Côte d'Coeur incredibly special. Thank you to each person for all your support and hard work. Now, I'd like to switch gears for a moment and recognize a gentleman that has meant so much to the Côte d'Cour family. 30 years ago, cardiologist Bob Hillert had a vision to create a one-of-a-kind event and to make a huge impact with the American Heart Association. Côte d'Cour grew to be so much more than an event, but a community passionate supporters like you. He served as president of the American Heart Association Dallas Division and a part of a mission of Lifeline Committee for the American Heart Association. Dr. Bob Hillert lost his life to cancer this year. Please join us as we honor his legacy. We would like to announce that with the blessing of the Hillert family, we have renamed the Wine Society to the Dr. Bob Hillert Wine Society. We are honored that he and Meg have been active participants since its inception. Bob, you will be missed but not forgotten. Thank you, brother. Next up, we will hear from the experts as they share real-life experiences from those on the front lines. We will also be sharing the challenges being faced by many in our communities. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the American Heart Association's Chief Executive Officer, Nancy Brown, who will lead today's discussion and give us a glimpse of the American Heart Association's relentless and continuing impact as our society navigates COVID-19. Since 2008, Nancy has elevated the American Heart Association as the global leader in heart disease and stroke science innovation. Under her leadership, as part of a career spanning 3 decades, the association pursues its mission of serving as a relentless force for a world of larger, healthier lives. Today's American Heart Association's work leverages the power of more than 40 million volunteers, scientists, staff, and donors. Nancy, I turn it over to you.
Richard, thank you so much for the warm introduction and for 2 incredible decades of leading this fantastic event. I know so many of us are disappointed we didn't get to taste all the wonderful food and drink that marvelous wine, but we'll certainly make up for it next year. I want to just say thank you and good afternoon, and we're so grateful to you for coming together and for the amazing impact you are making for the people of the city of Dallas, those who are counting on us most today, especially in the aftermath of COVID-19. Before I continue our discussion, I do want to address the events that have unfolded. Like you, I am heartbroken by the tragedies that have taken place across our country. The memories of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and far too many others remain with us, and our hearts go out to everyone, everywhere, who is grieving and searching for justice. The American Heart Association denounces senseless acts of racial violence against individuals and unnecessary violence and destruction in our communities. As a nonprofit healthcare organization, we are taking a stand on social justice issues because there is scientific evidence supporting the link between social justice and health equity. Racial disparities in heart disease and other chronic health conditions exist, and African Americans are much more likely to be uninsured. There is also evidence that their physical and mental health is negatively impacted by the inequalities that exist. Add to this the fact that in the midst of a global pandemic and given barriers to healthcare that exist, African Americans and other people of color have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. All of us at the American Heart Association have championed health equity for all people for nearly a century, and we are more determined than ever to eliminate racial and class disparities by redoubling our commitment to overcoming barriers to health and to addressing social inequities. We must stand together as a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives. That is our mission and our contribution to a more equitable society. People are counting on us like never before. We will listen, we will drive change, we will be relentless. Thank you for your support and thank you for listening. And through this, we continue to fight COVID-19 for the health of our communities. With this novel coronavirus, science is playing catch up and early evidence is literally being pieced together as the stories unfold in hospitals around the world. Healthcare systems are also reporting fewer heart attacks and strokes as people are fearful of going to the hospital even when they need to. And while others are living in isolation without loved ones nearby to recognize symptoms or call 911. There is no denying the complexity of this pandemic. I am, though, humbled every day to witness the healthcare heroes on the front line coming together with resilience and focus to care for patients and to accelerate answers to big questions around this disease. This afternoon, I am so honored to be joined by two outstanding American Heart Association leaders who will share their firsthand accounts of how the American Heart Association's advancements in COVID-19 science and research are supporting patients, caregivers, health professionals, and the public at large. I am so proud to welcome first Dr. Mitch Elkind, who is the president-elect of the American Heart Association. Mitch is a professor of neurology and epidemiology at Columbia University and only the second stroke neurologist to serve as president of the American Heart Association in our nearly 100-year history. And of course, no stranger to you, Steve Grimshaw, CEO of Caliber Collision, chairman of the Dallas division, and a member of the American Heart Association CEO Roundtable, which met earlier today. Mitch and Steve, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you to our Côte d'Ivoire supporters for your warm welcome. I'm really honored to be here, here in Dallas, I guess, to talk about the challenges and the amazing impact that you're all having on our mission during this challenging time. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Mitch. And Steve, welcome to you as well.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Also want to thank all my friends at the on the board for the Dallas division of the American Heart Association. Certainly Jennifer and Mark. Wish we were all doing this live, as well as the ELT that worked so hard to get it where it is today. And quite frankly, thank all the supporters of Côte d'Ivoire out there online.
Yeah, thank you both. And there is no question, the Dallas division has always done things in a big and bold way. And I am so happy we're able to celebrate virtually and so grateful, as you've said, Steve, to the amazing volunteers who work tirelessly on Côte d'Ivoire every year. You know, we heard a little bit earlier about the work of the American Heart Association during the COVID-19 pandemic. And of the many things I'm so proud of the American Heart Association is how quickly we mobilized our resources and our manpower to really make a critical difference. It was very early on that we were seeing, back in March and early April, we were seeing patients being admitted to hospitals, suddenly developing these fatal arrhythmias and neurological medical problems. And because of that, the AHA quickly committed $2.5 million to fast track scientific research. And, we had money to give away, 10 to 12 awards, and we received 700 applications in a 2-week time period. And of course, our work with the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory as well, where we have created an atlas of every protein in the human body, similar to the atlas of the genome, the human genome atlas. And that atlas is now being used by all of the companies and the government that are looking at creating the vaccine. And of course, our work in the COVID registry powered by Get With the Guidelines. And I have to give a shout out to Dr. James DeLamos, a Dallas native who is leading the way on that. And I know Mitch will talk a little bit more about that, as well as our Social Impact Fund, all as things that the AHA has really amplified in the last 12 weeks to make a difference to people and to healthcare providers. And so, Mitch, I'd love to start with you. You're the president-elect of the AHA, 3.5 more weeks until you're ultimately in charge of the organization, no pressure. But we have definitely seen unique challenges facing heart disease and stroke patients and people who have risk. From your point of view, what do you think are the biggest issues facing the healthcare system now and these individuals that have risk for heart disease and stroke?
Well, Nancy, I can remember back in February being at the AHA board meetings, right, right there where most of this group is in Dallas, and just beginning to hear rumblings about this virus. It was starting to cause trouble in China. It was picking up. It was starting to appear in different places around the world, but in very low numbers. And yet already then we were hearing reports about quarantine and shutting down the cities, and people really struggling with it, and even the deaths, of course, of healthcare workers, including the physician who first described it in China. And it still seemed kind of remote. It seemed like something that was going on in other parts of the world, and maybe it would eventually make its way to the US, but how much impact could it have? And then I remember leaving the Dallas meeting and coming back to New York, and we had our Eastern States affiliate board meeting. And the night before that, the number of cases in New York City went from 11 to 22. And the numbers seemed tiny, and yet it was a doubling overnight. And that's when I started to realize that this is really going to grow and grow fast. And that was very frightening, of course. And initially, we thought that this was a respiratory illness and that it was a pneumonia, and it sort of fell outside of, the AHA's expertise or the AHA's area of focus. It might be something that would get in the way of what we wanted to do, but it wasn't something that really belonged to us. But very quickly, we started to see that this respiratory virus could actually cause a myriad of problems that, most of the people on tonight have probably heard about. Blood clotting problems, cytokine storm, inflammation, heart disease of various types, strokes of various types. And obviously it has, upended the healthcare system around the country, and of course our economy as well. But the American Heart Association, I think, very quickly recognized that this wasn't something apart from what our focus is, that this is also a cardiac disease. It's a brain disorder. It causes strokes. It causes problems throughout the body. And as you've said, we really immediately jumped on it. And, it's been a challenge for hospitals of all sorts, a challenge for small hospitals in particular, and particularly a problem for communities of color and under-resourced communities throughout the country. So I think, there's a lot that we're going to have to do, and I think the American Heart Association has already made great strides in doing that.
Thank you, Mitch. And Steve, an area that you have been passionate about for so many years, and you've been a leader, not just in Dallas, but in the entire country for the AHA, is the issue of out-of-hospital cardiac arrests. And we know that 356,000 people in the United States will suffer an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest this year. But we also know that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the health systems are reporting fewer heart attacks and strokes. And so, as an advocate for hands-only CPR training and for making sure that every person is equipped with this life-saving skill, I wondered what you've been thinking about as you've read those headlines and what your call to action might be to our guests tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, every second counts during a cardiac arrest, which the more bystanders that we have trained on CPR, the better. It's absolutely critical that they know what to do. You know, examples, kind of what hit home for us are, and I'll tell you the story, but Mark Sanders came to me and had this crazy idea that he wanted to train all 23,000 caliber team members on CPR, which what I thought was a crazy idea actually wasn't. We have a leadership summit every year where we bring in all of the leaders from our general managers all the way up. We had 1,600 people here last year. We engaged the help of the American Heart Association, and we trained every single one of them at the end of the leadership summit. So we trained them on, you know, the recognition to get help, calling 911, hands-on CPR, and actually the utilization of AEDs. Not only did we do that, but we sent kits back to their centers so those leaders train their team members to deal with situations. And what struck me is I asked for a couple of examples because we've had numerous instances of how it's benefited the company, but if you'll indulge me, two of them really stuck out, Nancy. We had a long-time tech in Pennsylvania that he suffered a heart attack while at work. Obviously, we had an assistant manager that immediately jumped in when he recognized what was going on. It required 12 minutes of continuous CPR where our teammates had to, kind of take turns administering CPR. He had 100% blockage. He needed an immediate stent, and he was actually even placed into a medically induced coma. Having said all of that, because of the actions of those team members, that team member is healthy and he's actually back at work today and he's doing great. I'll give you another example. We had another situation with a body tech in Colorado where he began experiencing a heart attack. He didn't, however, fall unconscious, and a bunch of team members were ready to throw him in a car and take him to the hospital. Because of the training, the general manager stepped in and he knew to call 911 first. So they kept him there until the paramedics arrived. He had 100% blockage, and quote from the paramedics, there was a good chance he would have died if it wasn't for the general manager's training and quick thinking. And so, you know, that just hits home in the fact that the chances of those two team members being with us today, and both of them are back at obviously work, as I said, healthy, are slim to none had that training not been accomplished by the entire organization in August of last year. So it really drove the point home to me.
Wow, those are incredible stories that I know well because I share them to other CEOs around the country. And I think what you have done, Steve, is amazing in those stories, those individuals, their families, their communities. You know, that it's just an incredible story. And I think that this is the power of every person knowing CPR. And through the hands-only CPR training, it is so easy to learn. And knowing to call 911 first, knowing how to do the chest compressions really matters. So thank you so much for leading by example. And in case you all didn't know, the American Heart Association actually leads the way in writing the guidelines for CPR and first aid. And so one of the things when COVID-19 immediately hit is we were trying to understand what is it that we could do to help update the guidelines, to make sure that we were encouraging people to get to the hospital if they had signs or symptoms. And, you know, Mitch, you have been on service at NYU. I've talked to you many times, or at Columbia, I'm sorry, many times when you were on service over the last couple of months. And I would love to know from your point of view, you know, what were you seeing in the hospital? What is your perspective on people not presenting with heart attacks and strokes? And what should we be doing about that?
Yeah, well, thanks, Nancy. I think it's absolutely true that we've seen a pretty substantial decrease in the numbers of people who are coming in for heart attacks, strokes, and other common medical problems. And I think there are a number of reasons for it. For one thing, people may be afraid, right, of coming into the hospital because they're afraid of catching COVID. They don't want to be in the emergency room. They don't want to be in a place where people with COVID are located. I think there's also, to some extent, people don't want to bother the doctors. You know, there's been so much out there about the lack of PPE and our medical heroes and so forth, and they feel like, you know, other people are sicker than I am. Maybe I don't need to go in, and that can be a mistake as well. You know, it's well intentioned certainly, but you know, if you're sick, you do need to get help, and so that's part of the problem. We also have these stay-at-home orders, right? So people are in their homes, and especially people who live alone, maybe elderly people, widows or widowers, don't have a family member with them. You know, I know, for example, that I haven't seen my parents in several months because I don't want to put them at risk. Fortunately, they are together. But I think, you know, many of our family and friends are alone at this time. And so they may not recognize, nobody may recognize when they have an event like a heart attack or stroke. Heart attack, you have pain, cardiac arrest, nobody's there, that's a huge problem. Strokes often interfere with the ability to seek help, and so we're dependent on somebody else witnessing the event and calling for help. So I think that's a big factor as well. And then, of course, there's the concern that the healthcare system, at least in some places, this was the case in New York, you know, EMS, the ambulances, the emergency room doctors are, were, fortunately it's gotten better, but were overwhelmed. And in Barcelona, you know, I haven't seen data for New York yet, but in Barcelona, the number of calls overall went up over 300%, the number of EMS calls, even though stroke calls and heart attack calls decreased by 20 to 30%. So, you know, people are calling for help because they have respiratory problems and they come in with COVID, but these other conditions get pushed aside a little bit. And I think we really need to get that message out that people shouldn't be afraid to seek help. We've gotten, you know, better at dealing with the virus now. We have the PPE that we need in most places. The staff are used to it. We know how to separate people who may have the virus from those who have another problem so that, you know, it doesn't get transmitted to people coming into the hospital. So I think people should keep that in mind. And if there's a question of a heart attack or a stroke, they need to come into the hospital.
Yes, and as we like to say, as coined by the Dallas Division, don't die of doubt. And as a matter of fact, I hope all of you are really proud in the fact that that campaign, Don't Die of Doubt, which helped us launch Mission Lifeline in the Dallas market several years ago, thanks to the generosity of the Caruth Foundation, is now being rolled out nationwide. And it's so important that the message about accessing the emergency system gets to every single person. You know, we were not surprised, but saddened when we saw the data that came out that there was a 31% decrease in calls to 911 for chest pain or ST elevation MI heart attacks, and a 20% decrease in calls to 911 for stroke during that 4-month period, 3-month period. And of course, the first part of that wasn't even when the virus was prominent. So we know those numbers are so much higher. And you know, community is really where it matters. And Steve, I'd love to come back to you and talk about some of the ways the AHA has been investing in our communities, especially through the Social Impact Fund. We know that the social determinants of health really matter to a person's health outcomes. And I wonder if you could speak just overall to the incredible work that Caliber and your colleagues do in your communities and how that work supports overall health.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy. Look, I'll start by Caliber's purpose is to restore the rhythm of your life. And that's not just the customers that are in an accident. It's also the team members and the communities that we are part of. As a matter of fact, our mission is to be the repair provider of choice in every community that we serve, which means our expectation is that every single center and those team members become part of the fabric of that community. And a big way to do that is by giving back. I'll give you, and our team members do so many great things, but I'll kind of focus on the things that we do externally, specifically to make the communities that we're a part of better places. Specific to COVID-19, one of the first things that we did is based on the fact that we made the decision to leave all centers open and all of our team members, techs, employed, we had excess capacity in our centers that we could provide to the communities. So what we ended up doing is we decided the frontline heroes that are out there, those are obviously anybody in the medical field as well as the first responders, that we would help them with their deductibles, we would help them with rental car, and we would actually even pick up and deliver their vehicles if they needed us to, so they could continue to do the job to keep all of our communities safe throughout the United States. We ended up helping almost 700 of those frontline heroes so far to date through the end of May. Second thing we did is that we knew that we would have current team members as well as those that were impacted by COVID from a layoff perspective, really help them, and through donations from individuals at Caliber as well as our owners, to date we've helped over 2,700 current and former team members to the tune of in excess of $3 million. And this specifically is for requests for things like food, clothing, medicine, medical care, those types of things, which they don't typically get relief of. And that's how we reacted to COVID. Kind of on a bigger picture scale, what we've done for many, many years is we have a program that we're remarkably proud of called our Recycle Rides program. This is where we provide reliable transportation to those in need. And as you might imagine, it's those in need, whether they need to get to work, to school, to the grocery store, to the doctor's office, you name it. You think about how difficult it is to live without reliable transportation in most, especially if you're outside of an urban area today. Historically, that program's been focused on the military and first responders. We've given, more than 500 vehicles away so far through the program. We actually gave 115 of those away just last year alone. And this is based on time that our team members donate to fix these vehicles, and our partners donate the paint and parts required to do this. So this is something that they choose to do on their own. What we're doing for the rest of the year is we're focusing and donating those vehicles again to those frontline heroes in hot spots throughout the United States. So those that obviously are hot spots today and those that will become hot spots in the future. And again, we want people to be able to get to and from these jobs to be able to fight this pandemic on an ongoing basis. Kind of the third one I'll touch on, again, Nancy, that we're remarkably proud of is our annual food drive. So this started from a request from a center in Tarrant County that called and said, hey, can we run a food drive? Because we got a call from the Tarrant County Food Bank. They were running low, and we'd like to do something at the center to support them. And our answer was, well, not only absolutely yes, but why don't you reach out to other centers and see if they're interested in contributing as well. And to give you an idea of how that's gone, we've collected over 20 million meals since we launched the program. We collected almost 5.5 million meals just last year that we contributed to over 76 food banks throughout the United States. And this year specifically, we've asked them to focus those donations on children and really to programs that support, obviously kids aren't in school, so they don't have the luxury of that meal during the school year. So focus on kids, focus on the meals in the evenings, and then focus on kids' meals over the weekends so we can help support those most vulnerable due to obviously the pandemic and other situations. So that's I would say a very, very brief example of the phenomenal work that all of the team members at Caliber do to support all our communities.
Yeah, boy, incredible acts of kindness. And you just think of the lives that have been made so much better because of that work. That's really, really terrific. And it's so wonderful, again, to have both you, Steve, and you, Mitch, as volunteer leaders of the American Heart Association. Our volunteers are the backbone of this organization, and the vision and insight that both of you have shared today has been so appreciated. Mitch, I wonder if you'd like to leave us with any final thoughts.
Sure, Nancy, thanks so much. Um, I think, I would like to just comment on the efforts of the scientific community, which have really blown me away throughout this whole process. You talked a little bit about the grants that the AHA gave out and how we had over 700 applications and 12 lucky winners who can do research on COVID and cardiovascular disease. This Get With the Guidelines COVID registry that went from soup to the nuts, started with nothing and already has over 3,500 patients in the registry and about 100 hospitals entering data into it. Within a matter of weeks, that got up and running. So I just think that the pace of response of the scientific community has been phenomenal. And it just makes me really proud to be a part of this organization, of the AHA, which has been leading that charge, and also to have the opportunity to be here with this group of people who are so supportive of all of these activities. So thank you very much for your indulgence tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mitch. And Steve, I wonder if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share.
Yeah, look, just again, a thanks to everyone that's out there for all of their support in the past and their continued support. Sorry we don't get to see each other live this year, but I feel confident that we'll be able to host a few classes next year. But just look, it's more critical than ever that all of us, the donors, the supporters, and the companies continue to walk alongside the American Heart Association to share the message and get others involved. It's more than critical. I think it's our responsibility, as we continue to focus on the mission of being a relentless force for longer, healthier lives.
Yeah. Well said, Steve. Thank you again, Steve. Thank you, Mitch. And thank you to all of you for your support of the American Heart Association. I hope that you can see by this brief discussion today that every dollar you donate is going to good use. We are saving lives and we are helping our healthcare systems and we're propelling science. Thanks to all of you. I hope you enjoy the rest of our virtual broadcast.
Thank you, Nancy, Dr. Elkin, and Steve for your insights during this time. As you heard from each of them, the mission of the American Heart Association has never been more critical than it is right now. We can't let our friends and loved ones die from doubt by not calling 911, and life-saving skills such as CPR can help save someone's life. As this is CPR and AED Awareness Week, let's take a quick second to hear the story of a young lady who wouldn't be here today if it weren't for these skills.
This is where I go to school. Hey guys. This is where I keep my book. You're not supposed to see this. This is where I take math. This is where I like to study. This is where I grab the spotlight. And this is where I died.
Thank you to those who have participated in today's program: Jennifer and Mark Sanders, Nancy Brown, Dr. Mitchell Elkin, and Steve Grimshaw. At this time, we are so delighted to announce that Jennifer and Mark Sanders have agreed to continue to chair Côte d'Coeur 2021. Cheers to the both of you, and I can't wait for the event next year. Speaking of which, mark your calendars for next year's Côte d'Coeur on April 17, 2021. And a final thank you to the Dallas Division Board of Directors, Côte d'Coeur Executive Leadership Team, individual donors, and our many, many sponsors for the American Heart Association. Thank you all, and have a great evening.
My waves get lost in the ocean. 7 billion swimmers, man, I'm going through the motions. Sent up a flare, I need love and devotion. Traded for some faces that I'll never know, notion. Maybe I should try to find the old me. Take me to the places and the people that know me. Trying to just connect, thinking maybe you could show me. If there's so many people here, then why am I so lonely? Can I get a connection? Can I get a connection? Chasing down my demons, I can hear them breathing. But who knew you would be my comfort? You can bring the healing. Well, if my friend's gonna let me slide, how come you never left my side? Where I go, make it last all night, while I slip into the great divide. I'm stepping out of body, no matter what you call it. I'm a kamikaze. Abandon all your logic and put your money on it. I'm a kamikaze. Going down with my wings on fire. Guess I'll see you in another life. Stepping out of body, you can tell everybody, mama, I'm a kamikaze. All is not lost. My veins are seething. I can feel the freedom. Let them talk. It's not about the crown. We could share the kingdom. Well, if my friend's gonna let me slide, how come you never left my side? Before I go, make it last all night. Well, I slip into the great divide. Stepping out of body, no matter what you call it. I'm a kamikaze. could tell everybody, mama, I'm a kamikaze.